Friends, I just pressed the Let's Go Live button on this ridiculous Friday. Let's wait for the tubes to connect themselves so we can see your beautiful faces out there before we jump into today's activities. It's a wild Friday, and the tubes got to connect themselves over on the YouTubes, the Rumbles, the Locals, and the Telegram. Let's make sure things are off and well before we go ahead and get started. And I think things are booting up. Hopefully they're booting up. Let's see. All right, are we alive over on the local tubes? What's going on over here? You know, we're a little bit later than normal, and so we got to make sure things are working. I don't even know what the heck's going on here. What's going on, my friends? Come on, locals. All right, let me check something. I don't know why it's not firing up. Hang on. Come on, locals. Let's see. Did I connect the tubes appropriately? Yeah, we did. Hang on. Let's try that. As you can see, this is what happens when you are skidding on a show. So, my friends, the backstory is the reason we're a little bit late today. I was at an event all day. I was very fortunate to be able to share some knowledge about the YouTube activities that we do here to talk shop and communicate it to some other entrepreneurs and people out there. But I was skidding in to get the show prepped, and that's why we're a little bit late. Let's see, what the heck is going on with locals? Looks like locals is good. Is Rumble working? What the heck is going on here? All right, sorry for the delay, my friends. We're going to get this working. Let me check this. So Rumble's not connected either. Apparently, I goofed something up here today. All right, so let me do this. We're going to get all the streams fired up. And that's what we need to do there. Okay, so Rumble should be coming up soon. There we go. Locals is up. All right, good. That was my bad. Apparently, I didn't connect the tubes appropriately. All right, Rumble, you're coming up here soon. It should be popping off here in a minute. And hey, we're live. That's tremendous news. Sorry for the delay, my friends. Normally, I'm a little bit better about that, but we goofed it today, but it's working. We got the tubes connected. That's tremendous news. That means we can go ahead and get started. So let us do it, shall we? Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live, the show that spotlights misconduct involving police, prosecutors, and politicians. My name is Robert Gouveia. I'm a criminal defense attorney, and today we are talking about Donald Trump's insane verdict. $83.3 million coming out of the New York Southern District jurisdiction against Donald Trump. And today, because it's a short show, we just got one segment. We're going to go right into the closing arguments that are provided to us courtesy of Inner City Press. Because what happened was E. Jean Carroll's lawyer, Roberta Kaplan, was in court today arguing that they needed to punish Trump, punish him badly. Alina came out to defend him in the closing arguments, and Judge Kaplan threatened her with jail in the middle of closing arguments. So you can see how this goes. She's promising to appeal. Donald Trump is promising to appeal. He's already made a statement about it. But we're going to just get right into it at Inner City Press here in a minute. Quick reminder, we've got our website, robertgouveia.com. Links are down in the description below. We've also got watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We had a beautiful conversation this morning. We do members-only streams in the AM and on Saturdays. And so come check us out, watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We'll be doing an after party today. So come and join us for that as well. Now, without any further ado, let's just get right into it, shall we? We've got closing arguments and a verdict courtesy of Inner City Press. And we know Inner City Press is this guy, Matthew Russell Lee. Really, really appreciate all of his work. He posts stuff from inside the courtroom. It's about as close as we can get to a real transcript. And he was in there today. He's been in here all week. He's got a lot of great stuff on Amazon. You can buy his booklets and you can follow him on the X platform. So let's get into it. Now, the day starts. Inner City Press is in the court. Apparently, Judge Kaplan is in the courtroom. He says, I noticed that the defense is not in the courtroom. And then Kaplan says, well, Mr. Madeo is in the courtroom. This is the judge. And then Alina Habba enters. And Alina, when she walks in, Judge Kaplan says, Miss Habba, it is now 20 minutes to 10. Alina says, I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Judge. Says, does your client intend on being present here? Well, he's here. Well, he's not in the courtroom. She says, well, let me go get him. So Trump enters the courtroom. Kaplan says, okay, so let me say, during the arguments and instructions, no one else is to speak, as he's looking at Donald Trump. Roberta Kaplan, one of Carol's lawyers, says, Your Honor, we have an issue with some of the tweets. They were not entered into evidence. And Madeo says, Your Honor, these are the tweets that we talked about during the 5-hour gap. They're objecting. Well, it says you did not succeed in entering them into evidence, says the judge. So why don't you slow me the slide? So he puts the slide up and he says, okay, you're not showing the jurors the slide. So remember, this 5-hour gap is a very important component to this because it undermines the entire causation argument. The theory is that E. Jean Carroll had an article published, and then Trump 5 hours later said, I disavow that article. Nothing in that article is true. They said that was a defamatory statement. Trump's defense says, no, the 5-hour gap, there was a whole window there when Trump didn't say anything. And in fact, E. Jean Carroll was already getting roasted over her lies. And that was already coming place on her X account, on her Twitter account. So Trump could not be responsible for those mean tweets because he didn't say anything yet. So they produced that evidence, right? And we also learned that E. Jean Carroll deleted a bunch of evidence, so we could not corroborate it. But he says, Trump's defense, these are the tweets that we talked about during the 5-hour gap. And he says, well, you didn't put them in evidence, so just put the slide up. Let me see it. Like, should I add the slide in? Puts the slide up, says, you are not showing the slide. You are not showing the slide. Says, now, Alina says, Your Honor, Miss Kaplan stipulated that, sit down, Alina. Sit down. He says, you are on the verge of spending some time in the lockup. This is the judge, okay, before anything even starts. He's threatening Alina with jail. You're on the verge of spending some time in lockup. Alina goes, okay, judge, lock me up. So the judge says, you're not getting that evidence in. Bring in the jury. Jury comes in. Now, E. Jean Carroll's lawyer goes first. Judge says, Ms. Kaplan, closing arguments are yours. So Roberta, for E. Jean, she stands up and she says, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Donald Trump's testimony yesterday was brief because he doesn't get a do-over. Objection! Judge says, overruled. Shut up. Roberta says this is about how to compensate E. Jean for the two statements and it's about punishing Donald Trump. Says this trial is about getting him to stop once and for all, New York jurors. It's also about whether the rules apply to all, including Donald Trump. Think of his attitude to this proceeding, he says. He says she was asking for it. He claims he had no choice but to break the law and to defame her. She was a beloved advice columnist. Yeah, right. Then a wave on social media, echoing what Donald Trump says, came towards her. Let's consider. In 2019, he said stuff like pay dearly, and he said dangerous territory. Roberta says Trump is trying to normalize this conduct. And normally, when people lose in court, they change their behavior. Now, Trump gets up and leaves the court right now. It just got started. He gets up and leaves. Kaplan says the record will reflect that Trump just rose and left the courtroom. So Trump is no longer there. Roberta continues, says Miss Carroll's old friend, Carol Martin, said she just wanted her day in court. And now she has it. Kaplan interrupts her and says, we're going to change gears here, Roberta. Says the defense, Trump, is to remain seated. And that includes you, Mr. Epstein, not that you're part of the defense. This guy's so rude. So Epstein is not licensed in the federal court, right? In order to be, you can be licensed in a state. For example, I'm licensed in Arizona, but we also have, and California, but we also have the Arizona district court, which is a federal court. I'm also licensed there, but it's a separate license. So even though he might be licensed in New York, he might not be licensed in federal court. And so the judge says, not that you're part of the defense. The defense is going to remain seated. So I think what is happening is they're standing up when they're objecting. Remember, this judge said, stand up. Don't you sit in my courtroom. He scolded Alina about this. Get your butt up out of your chair when you're talking to me. So Kaplan says, no, we're going to change this now. I don't want you to stand up. Now you're sitting down. That includes you, Mr. Epstein. Not that you're part of the defense anyways, loser. So Roberta's like, perfect. This way I can not be interrupted. Says, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Carroll's success as an advice columnist obviously relied on her audience's trust. She built it over decades. She had one truth that was too painful to share. In the spring of 1996, Donald Trump assaulted her, and she tried to suppress it. She wrote a 274-page book, and it contained 9 pages about Trump. The New York Magazine published that. Donald Trump then told a lie after lie after lie to destroy her. And Roberta puts up the slide. It's entitled Defamatory Statement. And underneath it, it says, she's a disgrace. I never met this person. And so Trump has gotten hit on this, right? He never met her. And we all know what that means. He meets people at the end of a receiving line. But that's not really a meeting. That's taking a photo and scooting them on their way, if you've ever done that. Trump didn't meet with her, like have dinner and meet her and know her, get to know her. So they're just saying that that photo receiving line is basically enough. So Kaplan says, Donald Trump was lying and trying to destroy Miss Carroll. On the White House lawn, he repeated it, claiming he didn't know her. He threatened her, and people have to be careful because they're playing with very dangerous territory. And Trump also said, she's not my type because she's so ugly. This was designed to humiliate Carroll as though she needed any help. Okay, she talks about her cat's being named Vagina and stuff like that. Okay, this woman is a walking humiliation, but okay. But remember, he mistook Miss Carroll for Marla Maples because all the women had the same hairdo and they all looked alike in the black and white photo. She was also a beauty queen, Marla Maples. He shows the video and Trump says, that's John Johnson and that's Marla. It wasn't, it was E. Jean because they all look the same. She says, then he claimed the photo was blurry. It's not. And this was classic Donald Trump, she says. Now, the damages. Now, obviously, Miss Carroll suffered harm, says Roberta. She now has only 1,800 paying customers on Substack. That's a lot, by the way. That's a lot. I don't know what they're paying, but that's a good amount. That's more than many content creators. Professor Humphreys gave you the estimates of harm. And here's my question. Would she have any Substack readers at all if she didn't make this claim against Trump? No, obviously not. Okay, if she was still an irrelevant journalist who wasn't waging a political lawfare battle against Trump, she would be forgotten about in the dustbins because she's irrelevant. And all of her work has produced basically nothing that has been long lasting, right? She was a tabloid style columnist, so-called, who talked about sex all the time. She's a degenerate. So Professor Humphreys gave you the estimates of harm, right? And that only takes you so far, right? People get tired of the degeneracy because they grow out of it. But Professor Humphreys gave you the estimates of the harm, and Professor Humphreys is also a moron who has no real understanding of reputation repair, was just some professor who decided that they know about social media. Okay. So Roberta Kaplan continues. Says Professor Humphreys estimates that there's between $7 and $12 million to repair her reputation. That she lives with mice, I guess. And she's got all of these other weird posts about how, a lot of sexual stuff because she's a degenerate. Now, smaller than other programs, as she explained. Madeo says, objection. That's not on the record. The judge says, yeah, it is. Shut up. Kaplan says the defense asked about other programs. She told you about the case of Rudy Giuliani and the Georgia election workers. Objection. Judge says, no, it's fine. It's up to the jury. They can hear whatever they want. Shut up. Now, imagine being Miss Kaplan. Imagine being Miss Carroll in that hotel room. Oh, wait a minute. Imagine being Miss Kaplan in that hotel room on the 10th Avenue, struck by fear and sadness. The man who attacked her was coming after her again. Okay, this is E. Jean, right? She wanted to close the curtain, so she hung up the jumpsuit and she was unable to sleep. So she said Trump attacked her, and then he, said I didn't do it. And so she was up like a weird person, petrified that someone was going to attack her in her hotel. Now, Roberta says, there were more threats waiting for her every time she answered her phone. E. Jean tweeted, she said, the world needs love. And the responses were bad. The responses are, you are a C. And no way Trump touched this disgusting mess. Since 2019, they've never stopped. And she deleted a bunch of them, evidently. Now, the dollar number, says Roberta, that's necessary to compensate her has to be very large, ladies and gentlemen of New York. At least as much as $12 million for the reputational repair damage. And probably more. And how much will it take to get Donald Trump to stop all this? She says punitive damages are to punish the malicious. And I want you to consider what Donald Trump has done here. He said she made it up, because she did. She was a disgrace. He threatened her twice. He unleashed millions of others to flood her with hate. We played his deposition. He called her mentally sick and he threatened to sue. Now watch this CNN town hall, which is funny because they let her play CNN, but they don't let Trump play CNN where she's saying that Anderson Cooper that R is sexy. Remember that weirdness? Trump's on CNN saying, my poll numbers went up. I have no idea who this woman is. She's a whack job. She says, did you see that? The audience laughed. They laughed at this whole story. It made Miss Carroll feel horribly. She's so sad. And his attacks intensified. While Miss Carroll was still on the stand, Trump held a press conference. While you were sitting here in the jury box, watch this. She plays him, right? He walks out, 40 Wall Street. He says, this is a rigged deal. It's a made-up, fabricated story. So now you can't even deny that you did something, lest you be sued for $80 million. So Roberta says, last Thursday, Trump said, I've said it 1,000 times. I've never heard of E. Jean Carroll, and I would never touch her. Are you kidding me? She says, 1,000 times? It's up to you to make him stop, ladies and gentlemen. He is very wealthy. His brand is worth $10 billion. And he said Mar-a-Lago is worth $1.5 billion. Objection. These are not personal assets, says Madeo, Trump's defense. Judge says, quiet. The jury will remember what was said. So the judge is 1.5 billion, 10 billion. You heard that, jury. You can accept that. Says you can award punitive damages. Yesterday, Mike Cross showed that he didn't come to the first trial, but he came to this one. Well, until just now, until he left, because he cares about money. So your decision is the only hope for E. Jean. Says Donald Trump can't even deny. Objection. He can't deny because of the first trial. Your Honor, can I go on? He says, yeah, I overruled. She says, Trump has been famous for years. So why did Miss Carroll wait? And the so-called gap, give me a break. The White House, which was run by Trump, had already denied this. Objection, overruled. So they're saying that, remember this, Trump was in the White House. So E. Jean Carroll, the cut article had come out. They had contacted the White House before the article was published to say, do you have a position on this? They said, obviously, we reject that. That is not true. They published that, and they said that was Trump's denial. So there was no 5-hour gap because he already denied it in the article. Right? So in other words, you cannot even deny it in an article. She's saying that the denial was contemporaneous with the publication of the piece. It all came out together. So if somebody calls you and says, did you Bergdorf this woman 25 years ago, even though there's no DNA evidence and she's clearly weird? And you say, what? No, of course not. They publish that and then simultaneously create a claim from themselves to sue you in New York. And let's not forget, E. Jean Carroll was funded by George Conway, or was introduced by George Conway, was funded by Reid Hoffman, who went to Epstein's Islands, allegedly, multiple times, and is now a victim's advocate or something like that. He supports E. Jean Carroll against abusive men, even though he's palling around with Epstein after Epstein was already convicted of his affairs. So then George Conway goes to Molly Jong-Fast's party, and they all concoct this scheme, and they launch it. They literally have E. Jean Carroll and her lawyer work to change the statute in New York to create this civil claim in the first place. So they created almost everything. They created the law. They created the denial. They created the lawsuit via George Conway. And then they also created the funding, all out of thin air, by bringing in Reid Hoffman. It's a big orchestrated hit. And they call it justice. So Madeo says, objection, overruled, obviously. Now, Roberta Kaplan, the lawyer, continues. She says, Donald Trump claims that she actually benefited. She did. She's got a big Substack. She's on all the media shows. Nobody knew who she was before this happened, before she made this fake claim. It takes a lot of gall to make arguments like that. Donald Trump's lawyer described Miss Carroll as a fame-seeking monster. Objection, says Alina Habba. The jury says, you're going to remember that, okay? Trump said that, don't forget. Says, I'm gonna sit down in a couple minutes, ladies and gentlemen, I promise you. They're all, we're like, thanks. On behalf of E. Jean and our whole team, I want to thank you for paying attention to the evidence, which was ugly. And how much will it take to fix her reputation? Between $7 and $12 million, and we say 12. Next, we say another 12 million and probably much more. Now on the punitives, I'm not going to tell you exactly how much, but you can consider his wealth. Trump is worth billions of dollars. He said that under oath. This will take an unusually high reward. Now, when you deliberate later today, ladies and gentlemen, consider we have a former president of the United States who has shown contempt for the rule of law and our system of justice, which I have contempt. Everybody has contempt for both of those things, especially in New York. So stand up for E. Jean and the rule of law. If not, none of us would ever be safe from bullies. There is a way, and you have an opportunity, maybe even the responsibility, to put an end to this right now with your verdict. Make him pay for what he's done. Now is the time, ladies and gentlemen, to make him pay for it dearly. Thank you, Miss Kaplan. That was beautiful. Such a nice job. We'll take a break for 10 minutes. That's the judge. And we're back. Alina Habba's back up. She says, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Says, counsel tried to tell you what my arguments are. You just heard. I've never seen that before. We've watched the plaintiff, E. Jean, try to pin Twitter trolls on the president of the United States. Here is Donald Trump reacting last year. They play a video. He says, this is a witch hunt, man. And I want to thank plaintiff's counsel for playing that for me, says Alina. Yeah, that's how he feels. Exactly. Imagine a world when someone accuses you and you can't speak. She said Miss Carroll defended herself. She said that just now. You heard it. A right to defend? Well, what's good for thee? She's right. President Trump has not wavered at all because it's the truth. Objection. Sustained, says the judge. That has been proved false, and I will instruct the jury. Alina continues. Her bankrollers are paying. Objection. Sustained, Miss Habba. If you continue this, you may face consequences. And so Alina was trying to get in that Reid Hoffman, right? Her bankrollers are paying for this whole thing. This whole thing is fake. The judge kept it out. Sustained. Don't you even tell the jurors that there's actually other nefarious things happening in here. Alina continues. Says Miss Carroll cannot prove causation. Cannot do it. She gave her story to the cut. She said they knew how to break the news. She was looking to make a splash. So on June 21st, 2019 at 12:14, it went live. And boom, as soon as it went live, it ignited a media storm. Now, President Trump did not know anything about this for 5 hours. But before that, a flood of tweets responded before Trump even knew. Before Trump even made a statement. She said that there were messages of love and support in her inbox, but there were also attacks. This is the 5-hour gap that we're talking about that is essential. Now, you are not here to pay Miss Carroll for people who wrote mean tweets to her. No, they have to prove a direct causal connection to Trump's 2 statements. Now, this is the beauty and the danger of free speech in America, says Habba. President Trump does not control the speech of others. Before and after President Trump's statements, both of these statements said to Miss Carroll, they did it to promote her book. Frankly, her friend said that in here today, yesterday. Alina says, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, I have received 3 threats this week. Kaplan shuts her up. Counsel, that was inappropriate. Jury, you're going to disregard. Alina says they have 6 threats only from 2023. Why do they have 6 threats only from 2023? Why not before? Oh, that's right. She deleted them, or perhaps they don't exist. Trump's back at the defense table. He's listening in. Don't know when he came back in, but hello, Mr. President. Alina continues saying, E. Jean deleted evidence that she wants you to rely on. She's sitting here saying, I got attacked, but all the evidence is gone. They are not here. She has to give them to you, and they are not here. She took the stand and said she received death threats from the day of the cut. She said that she was in a trance. But guess what? She didn't call the police. No, she hung the pants. She didn't tell anyone, but she hung the pants. Focus on the details, not the noise. Apparently, Trump stepped out, maybe posted this. I don't know. He says, we asked for 1 trial on the E. Jean Carroll false accusation case, but the judge wouldn't give it to us. He made us have 2 trials on the same hoax, and then on the second trial, they were allowed to use whatever information they wanted from the first. But we weren't allowed to use anything. As an example, the depositions they're using on the second trial were taken in the first. He wouldn't allow us to use the totally exonerating Anderson Cooper interview where she says rape is sexy, but in either trial, but none of it in the second. Our legal system, says Trump, is in shambles. This is another Biden-demanded witch hunt against his political opponent, funded and managed by the radical Democrats. The court are totally stacked against me, have never been used against like this, against the political opponent like this. But in the end, we will win it all. He's right. And we will make America great again. And I completely agree with this. Okay. I think that all this is going to backfire on them big time. It's like the dog that caught the car. All right. Guess what? You got an $80 million judgment. Guess what? I've never been as fired up as ever as now. We have seen this onslaught continue. I mean, the indictments, yeah, I mean, I was pretty fired up for those too. But this is one thing after another. And this is as rigged as it gets, man. So here is Donald Trump saying, we are still going to win. In spite of all of it, we're still going to win. So shout out to Trump. Now, Habba says, guess what? E. Jean didn't call the police at all. She just sat around. She was freely walking the streets of New York. She said Midtown was the safest place on earth. And she worked in a fake orange jumpsuit with a fake Donald Trump. Okay, this is what E. Jean Carroll looked like. She's standing out there. This is her standing out there, apparently under attack from Trump. You know, oh, I'm under attack. She's hanging out with this fake Trump in a fake mask. In a fake mask. She's really offended. She's a celebrity. She's an anti-Trump celebrity. Alina continues saying, now there are 2 versions of E. Jean Carroll. The one her friend told you about, and the one who comes to court to get money from my client. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you heard him testify that he didn't intend to hurt her. All he did was tell the truth. Objection. Judge says, I'll deal with it in my instructions. Now, my feelings would be hurt too, says Alina. But it happens when you're a public figure. Just ask E. Jean. She said when she was fabulous, she was carefree. She has always craved fame. She expressed it privately to Lisa Birnbach. That she was fine is fine, that she slept until noon. She didn't think you'd see that. That's her best friend. But on the stand, she claimed it wasn't true. And she hasn't suffered professionally. She didn't lose her advice column because of my client. It's because she lost her column at Elle before she conveniently came out with this claim. Objection, sustained. Now here's another tweet of hers. What can be done about the wiener? The Nathan's hot dog. What can be done about the Nathan's hot dog? Alina says, I'm mortified that I have to repeat this, but I have to say it. Even Alina's like, I got to say the P word here. She says, what can be done about the penis? Now, I'm mortified I have to repeat it, but she said it, not me. Here's the tweet. It says, how to dominate a man. Dominate a man. She didn't take it down. She wrote, he will soon regret he even has a penis. What? Is that a threat? Roberta says, objection, sustained. He will soon regret he even has a penis. So she's going to, what? Lorena Bobbitt? Abba continues. And now she's claiming that other people's tweets made her look scandalous? No. Numbers don't lie. These are the views and the tweets sent to Miss Carroll. Only 5 views, 15 views. These are the ones they picked to show you her damage. She's going to get $80 million for tweets. Says, now she's enjoying this, E. Jean. She's making more money today than she was in June of 2019 when she brought all this up. She had hit financial rock bottom. Elle magazine cut her garbage career salary in half. No more dinners at Elaine's, just a cottage in the wood with mice in the kitchen, like Montana. And she had been writing the book for years. Then put in President Trump while he was in the White House, right? She needed to sell it. She sat in her cabin far from the glamour of New York. And so she made her way. The release of the cut, she made money. She got publicists. She had lunch with journalists. Her best friend was in court, saying that Miss Carroll loved the adulation from this lawsuit, that she was acting like Santa at the Christmas parade. She said Miss Carroll's a drug addict and the drug is herself. She said that in a communication that she never thought you would see. Now, do you think she wants her old reputation back? To go back to the cabin with 12,000 followers on Twitter? Nobody knows who she is? I asked her, I said, after this, are you done? She wouldn't answer. She yearned for this. She had nothing to lose and everything to gain. Now, they picked as their expert Miss Humphreys. Now, her report was riddled with mistakes. She can't find 17 errors that we found. Objection, sustained. Alina says, Your Honor. He says, sustained. Alina says, she said Republicans were more likely to not believe Miss Carroll than non-Republicans. Duh. Thank you, Miss Humphreys, says Alina. Republicans were more likely to not believe Miss Carroll than non-Republicans. Duh. Thank you, Miss Humphreys. You need an expert to make that point? Gosh, people are entitled to their opinions, but who do you want to fix it? You want to just give her money? Now, their expert has never done a reputation repair campaign at all. She said Joe Rogan and Candace Owens could repair her reputation. What planet is she living on? Does she think they're going to pay Joe Rogan $1 million or something? And he's going to say, E. Jean Carroll is a good journalist and she's incredible and she's going to come on my show or something. Like, is that what their plan is? To go pay Rogan off? To go pay Candace Owens off? To bring E. Jean Carroll on their shows? Or they're going to pay Rogan to run an advertisement for E. Jean? Hey, my friends, welcome to the Rogan Network. E. Jean Carroll's an amazing person. Thanks for listening. It's ridiculous. What planet is she living on? Now, during the trial, she changed her setting on social media to private. She could have done it before. But imagine you're living your life. You've got a family, you've got a beautiful wife, you've got an important job to do, and then you're hit with an allegation. There are no facts. Objection, sustained. She doesn't even know what I was saying, Your Honor. Kaplan says, move on to another topic. So he wants to get into this, right? And move on to another topic. She says, Your Honor, under the First Amendment, you have a right to speak. Objection, sustained. Alina goes back to the jurors. You've heard the objections. You've heard me being told to sit down. Objection. Judge says, move on, Alina. She continues. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not about Miss Carroll and Donald Trump. This is about tweeters in their mother's basement. Miss Carroll has been made whole. Objection. Sustained. Alina says, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry you had to spend so much time on this ridiculous nonsense. Nothing further. Judge Kaplan goes back for a rebuttal. So Miss Carroll's lawyer's back up. This is the second lawyer, Crowley. Says, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to follow the court's rules, unlike Mr. Trump and her lawyer. Judge, let's let go. Now, Ms. Habba said that there was a 5-hour gap, but there's no evidence of this gap. Trump says, objection. Judge says, overruled. So as you can see, they get sustained, they get overruled. Plaintiff gets sustained, Trump's defense gets overruled every time. Overruled, he says. She only showed you 5 tweets. Objection, says Alina. He says, nope, only one lawyer. Who is it? She says, fine, Michael. Michael says, okay, fine. Objection. He says, okay, great, overruled. Lawyer says, Donald Trump assaulted Miss Carroll. And judge says, I told counsel to remain seated, but they won't. So you guys on the defense, sit down. And he says, thank you, Your Honor. Stop letting them stand up in the middle of my closing. They say Donald Trump is saying that she asked for it. And I have to ask, are you really still doing that? Have we not moved on? I think we have. She didn't ask to be called ugly or a liar. Well, she shouldn't lie then. Miss Carroll, or be ugly. Miss Carroll didn't ask for death threats. She gave interviews because she had to defend herself. She brought this lawsuit to try to get him to stop. Yeah, not to win 80 million. You can't equate their conduct to other things. And when Donald Trump told those lies, he was breaking the law. And he is still breaking the law to this day. Objection! Overruled. Donald Trump is responsible. What could be more on brand for Donald Trump than malice? He is breaking the law. Objection, Your Honor. It's on appeal. Overruled. Keep going. And you can respond, jurors, to true charges by either staying silent or apologizing. And if he'd have done that, do you think people would have come after her? He could have just stayed silent, or he could have apologized. So now you have to stay silent when someone accuses you. You can't deny it, because if you do, they'll sue you. And staying silent, many people say, that's an admission. Oh, you're not denying it, so you did it, didn't you? Oh, Trump didn't deny it. Okay, I guess he's a rapist. So if he'd have done that, do you think people would have come after her? Yes, I do. If Trump didn't say anything at all, yes, they would have come after her for her lies. Now, they're suggesting Miss Carroll has to show that she'd been broken every day for 5 years. Now, in their view, every day she showed a brave face, she was showing she suffered no harm, and that makes no sense. So 2 things can be true at the same time. Now, this 5-hour gap, there's no evidence for this. Objection. Judge says, well, I'll rely on the jury to look at the evidence closely. Says Trump's initial denial, which was issued by the White House. Objection. Overruled. The White House statement said, objection. It's not an evidence, Judge. I'll see you at the sidebar. Get up here. Psh, whispers on. They're back. Kaplan says the objection is overruled, so please continue. E. Jean's lawyer. Thank you, Your Honor. Now, the denial in the cut, it didn't say that she would pay dearly, but his followers latched onto it. They kept saying it 4 years later. Objection. Overruled. Donald Trump kept defaming Miss Carroll. Objection. Overruled. They keep coming after her. They say no causation. Give me a break. About Professor Humphreys, she was the only expert here. Objection. Overruled. Professor Humphreys, the mislabeling is a distraction. Their last complaint is that she didn't consider the positive responses, but this shows they don't understand what Humphreys did in this case. It's about changing minds, and the law of defamation is about protection and protecting people from harm when people lie about that. You only have to change the minds of the people who believe the lie, not the people who don't. Now, Miss Habba went on about deleting some of the death threats, but Miss Habba got it wrong to mislead you. She had no duty not to delete. Objection. He sustains this one in part. Now, I'm not going to detail which part just now. Jurors, you decide if that matters to you. So she said she deleted some of these nasty replies that she had no obligation to keep, so don't hold that against her. I think we can understand why she wouldn't want to keep these. Who among us hasn't deleted a nasty tweet or email? Pretty much just archive it all. Now, these are death threats from people who believe his lies and expanded on his threats. So Trump is now liable vicariously for other people's statements. Now, you're going to hear Judge Kaplan's instructions on the law, and then you'll decide how much Trump is going to pay. Now, he wants you to blame her, that Trump is the victim. He called her salacious tweets. She was reposting readers' questions, okay? That's why her tweets were so weird. She was doing her job. Now, they want to stop her. According to the defense, he gets to ignore a jury verdict. You saw how he behaved at trial. He walked out right when Roberta was speaking. Now, this is not a political rally. This is a court of law. Donald Trump is not a victim. And so make him pay enough so that he will stop. Thank you. And they sit down. Kaplan says, all right, thank you for your arguments. Now, I will now deliver the jury charge. Marshals, please lock the doors. Trump's still in the courtroom. Kaplan says, ladies and gentlemen, when you retire, you will select one juror as the foreperson. The foreperson will send out any notes and will notify the officer when you've reached a verdict. Your answer to one question will determine your answers to some following in some places. Now, whatever you do, just answer the questions. I tell you from experience, you are not to add any commentary, no extraneous remarks. Answer on one copy. Now, at the bottom, put your juror number, not your name. Place the verdict in an envelope. I will ask for it. Each of you should be in agreement with the verdict. And once announced, it cannot be revoked. Now, we can read back testimony to you or sometimes submit it to you in writing, but only if you actually need it. You took an oath to rule only on the evidence. This court was the first in the United States. Since those first days, jurors like you have been asked to decide cases, and I'm sure you will be just. Counsel, any objections to my instructions? He says, I left one word out called not. Now, the exhibits will be sent into the jury room. That normally takes a bit of time, and I ask counsel to stay near the courtroom so we can respond. Your lunch is waiting for you, so 45 minutes and they are free to go. Andy, swear the marshal, the officer. Says, we're going to break today at 4:30 if there's no verdict, unless you send a note that you would like to stay somewhere later. Andy will now take the exhibits, and the videos will be on the laptop. Now, is there anything else that we have to do before we go off and have lunch? None? Okay. And now, we're back. It's 4:16 p.m. E. Jean Carroll's lawyers have taken their positions at the plaintiff's tables. So far, the defense table is empty. It's now 4:20. E. Jean Carroll is at the plaintiff's table. Still no one at the defense. Word is, we have a verdict. Still no one at the defense. 5-minute warning. Please be advised that a verdict has been reached and will be read in open court at 4:35 p.m. We're taking a look at the jury form, which we'll get into further. But Kaplan continues. I'm advised that the jury has reached a verdict. We will have no outburst in these proceedings, and we will maintain decorum. Bring in the jury. All rise. Jury enters. Please hand the verdict to Andy. Thank you. The clerk will read the verdict. Miss Carroll proves, by a preponderance of the evidence, that 1, Miss Carroll suffered more than nominal damages as a result of Trump's publications on June 21 and June 22 of 2019. Answer, yes. Damages, $7.1 million, $11 million, and punitives of $65 million against Trump in this kangaroo joke scam proceeding that has been going on for years now, all rigged by the Democrats. Kaplan says, members of the jury, there was years ago a respected judge of this court would make it a practice to never thank a jury. Judge Winfield, though, thought it was a duty, and I think juries should be thanked, especially when they take out your political enemies for you. If you wish to speak after the verdict, I order you not to disclose the names of any other juror, and I advise you not to disclose your own name. Now, the transportation arrangements have been made, and enjoy the weekend. Any other business, says the judge? Habba says, I would like to thank the court staff, because she's classy AF, and you're welcome on their behalf, says the judge. Adjourned. That's the day, my friends. So as you can see, it is as rigged as it's been this entire trial. Almost every single objection from the defense was overruled. Almost every single objection from the plaintiff's table was sustained. And Trump posted the following. He says, absolutely ridiculous. I fully disagree with both verdicts and will be appealing this whole Biden-directed witch hunt focused on me and the Republican Party, saying our legal system is out of control and being used as a political weapon. They have taken away all First Amendment rights, and this is not America. From Trump. So he'll be appealing it, and Alina Habba came out, and man, she was fired up, and rightfully so. Here is what she sounded like when she was exiting the courtroom after an $80 million verdict in a rigged case.
No. I'm glad you asked me that question. No, I'm not having any second thoughts about representing President Trump. It is the proudest thing I could ever do. What I am having second thoughts about is the license that I stand here with that the people in there are supposed to have. I have not spoken because I respect my ethics while I'm on trial. But let me now speak about what has happened. I have sat on trial after trial for months in this state, the state of New York. Attorney General Letitia James, and now this. Weeks. Why? Because President Trump is leading in the polls, and now we see what you get in New York. So don't get it twisted, whoever asked me that question. I am so proud to stand with President Trump. But I am not proud to stand with what I saw in that courtroom.
Ms. Habba is the
I'm not finished. Let me just finish and I'll take questions, please.
Pipe down, punk.
Before I walked into court, that judge decided that every single defense President Trump had, we were not allowed to raise in front of the jury. It is in writing, and I encourage the journalists, the real journalists, to take the minute to look at his orders. There was no proof. And I couldn't prove that she didn't bring in the dress. There was no DNA. There was no expert. My experts were denied. Two of them were denied to come in. They didn't let me bring up that Reid Hoffman funded Miss Kaplan. And you know what we got in there? That my witness, who was her friend, who said that she is a drug addict and the drug addict is herself. That friend, I found out in there, was paid for by Miss Kaplan's firm.
Nice.
And that is disgusting. That is a violation of everything I stand for. And that is why I stand with Trump. And that is why so many Americans are so proud that he is running again and so excited to run to the ballot box. But don't get it twisted. We are seeing a violation of our justice system. Ladies and gentlemen, you are not allowed to be stripped of every defense that you have. You are not allowed to be told that you can't bring it up. And imagine a point where a judge tells the lawyer, before your client, the former president of the United States, the leading candidate and obvious nominee for the Republican Party, before he takes the stand to defend himself, Ms. Habba, tell me the questions you're going to ask in open court and tell me exactly what he's going to respond. And then edited my questions, edited the response he was allowed to give. And guess what my client did? He took the stand. He abided by the rules of this corrupt system that I have seen. We will immediately appeal. We will set aside that ridiculous jury. And I just want to remind you all of one thing. I will continue with President Trump to fight for everybody's First Amendment right to speak. Everybody's a right to defend themselves when they are wrongfully accused and to be able to say, I didn't do it. And to double and triple and quadruple down and say, this is wrong. This is wrong. But we are in the state of New York. We are in a New York jury, and that is why we are seeing these witch hunts, these hoaxes, as he calls them. And this is another one of them. Be brought in New York, in states where they know they will get juries like this. It will not deter us. We're fighting, and I assure you, we didn't win today, but we will. The record that was made in there, and the behavior I saw in there, some of which was reported widely today, gave us the most perfect record on appeal, and even if I needed it, which I don't, we were stripped of every defense, every single defense before we walked in there. And I am proud to stand with President Trump because he showed up, he stood up, he took the stand, and he faced this judge. And you know what? I'll continue to do so with him. Yes.
Ms. Habba, is the former
Of course, I've spoken with the president.
Ms. Habba, is the former president scared now of the consequences of his actions?
The former president does not live his life in fear,
What a
as you've seen
stupid
every
question.
single day. The former president and probably future president will continue to fight for Americans. Thank you very much, everybody.
Shout out to Alina, man. She's fired up, delivering her message with passion. And just like Trump, she says, we are going to win. What these people are doing, my friends, and I know it feels disgusting because it is disgusting. I know it feels deflating. It feels like they just keep throwing blows at this guy, one after another. 4 indictments, plus this, plus the ballot removals. It's nonstop onslaught. But that's how these people are. That's all they've got. Okay, they don't have anything else, which is why they're doing this. So if there's any silver lining in this, let's just recognize that they are freaked. They are petrified. That's why they have to concoct all these schemes. If you had a natural country that was just a country that was interested in justice, you wouldn't have to change the law and get a bunch of people to fund this stuff for multiple years to create a claim in a jurisdiction that you have forum shopped and plaintiff shopped in order to bring this. Because that's what they're doing. If they had actual thoughts and ideas, if they had leadership, if they had charisma, if they had integrity, if they had honesty, if they had any sense of humanity that was admirable, they wouldn't live like this. But they do. That's why she lives in a house in the woods with mice. That's why she goes around and hangs out with George Conway, who looks exactly like Reid Hoffman, who looks exactly like Roberta Kaplan, who looks exactly like Judge Kaplan. They all look the same because they are twisted by the perverted injustice that fills their dilapidated hearts, if there is one there. And they are so scared that the people in this country are actually waking up. This is why this happens. And so I am not happy about it. I'm furious and outraged about it because this is dishonest. This is not why I became a lawyer. I want people to have due process. I want people to have the capability to present their claim to a jury of their peers and have the system work out. This is not what we saw at all. And that's why Alina is making the point that the record is just pristine, because what we heard here is outside of the norms of justice. And so Trump is promising to appeal this. Alina is saying she's going to appeal this. Here is what the verdict form looks like, just for posterity's sake, so we know we can see it. You see here, the verdict form says yes as to whether there were nominal damages, and nominal damages just means $1, basically. Was there harm? Yeah. Okay. Nominal damages, it means basically nothing. So did Trump actually cause harm? Yes. Now, what does the reputation repair program cost? $7.3 million. And I have no idea what they're going to do to repair her reputation. I mean, her reputation now is the Trump accuser and the person who got $80 million out of Trump. Like that's her reputation. I don't know what they're going to do about that. Anyways, so $11 million for compensatory damages, only for the reputation repair program. And then they asked about maliciousness. Was Trump maliciously acting out of hatred or ill will or spite? They said yes. So again, for New Yorkers, defending yourself, saying I did not do the thing, is hatred, ill will, and malice, and that causes a $65 million penalty. $65 million in punitive damages. And so they'll appeal it, and we'll see what the Court of Appeals does in New York. I mean, it's New York after all, and we'll see if they double down on it. I'm sure they will. We've got other losers out there, like Nikki Haley, who is already responding to this. She posted this. Donald Trump wants to be the presumptive nominee, and we're talking about $83 million in damages. We're not talking about, fixing the border, which I don't think she was talking about anyways. And we're not talking about tackling inflation, and America can do better than Trump. And a lot of people are pointing out that Nikki is just really, really pathetic, because what the problem here is that this is a weaponized justice system that is being used against political opponents in this country. And that is the biggest issue of all time. If we don't have a justice system, it doesn't matter who's in charge. It doesn't matter if we vote. It doesn't matter what we want, because they'll just do whatever they want. They will weaponize the justice system as they have been doing thus far. And so, my friends, that is going to be it for us on the day. It's a short show because I was at an event and because I'm running on fury and fumes right now with this ridiculous saga. But now let's hear from you and see what you say about all of this ridiculousness and more. Hey, we got John McGarvey and Vientikis and Zach. We got the crew in the house. Amazing. Good to see you guys. Thanks for joining us, even though the show's a little bit later. Hey, what's up, Knox? So we are going to go over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com for our members only after party here in a few minutes, as soon as we are done. But Let's take a look and see what you guys say about this. What a ridiculous day, huh? Knox says, TGIF all. TGIF indeed. It is Friday. I hope your talk went well, Robert. Thank you, Knox. It did go well. It did go well. I had a bunch of great questions, a super engaged audience, and it was great. We talked about YouTube. We talked about how to grow a YouTube channel for a small geographic business like I did with my law firm. And we also talked about how to grow YouTube for a virtual business and how to grow YouTube as a full-time content creator, which is what I am now. So it was a great talk. I had a lot of fun. I love talking YouTube, and it was great. So thanks for asking about it, Knox. Thanks for letting me share about it. We got some other donos in the house, and who is here on the night? Hey, what's up? CF Rob is over on Rumble, and shout out to our Rumble friends. We got, says E. Jean Carroll messed up the tubes. I know, I fixed them. What's that? Defamation. What's that? Defamation? Bam, 83 million. I object, overruled. I object, overruled. Fine raised to 166 million. Say anything else and you're going to jail. Yeah, that was basically the full transcript there. That's like a condensed version of the transcript from CF Rob. Thanks for that, CF Rob. Happy Friday to you. What's up, Tony? Hey, bringing in 10 new membos in the house. We got Tony Hay is bringing in Marlene S., Susio, Bigger Doings, Sergeant King, Rocky's here, Tom S., Johnny C., Gary Y., Stop Sniffing Kids, Joe is here, and Mia J. is also here in the house. Very nice to see you guys. Thanks for joining us, and thank you, Tony Hay, for bringing in our membos. Hey, what's up? Glocky McGlock is over on Local, says, do me a favor, Rob, and you will probably touch on it tomorrow morning, but just read the first two short paragraphs. Fulton County is a corrupt Democrat crap hole. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Trending Politics says, new, a judge removed Fannie from an election case for political bias in 2022. Interesting, yeah. I think I saw that headline floating around. I wanted to do a Fannie segment as well today, but we just ran out of time, and it was already getting a little late, so I wanted to make sure we squeezed a show in. But yeah, we'll see you tomorrow, Glocky, on the Saturday stream. We'll see you in the after party, of course, as well. Thanks for the dono. Hey, this is Glocky saying Democrats right now. Pretty much, yeah, look at me. I hate Trump. That's actually how they look, honestly. Like, if you gave this guy a toupee or like a big disgusting hairdo, this is Homer, then it would look, that actually looks kind of like Roberta Kaplan. It looks like George Conway. It looks like Reid Hoffman. And it looks like Judge Kaplan, like literally. Like, look them up. They kind of look like that. We got this one from Glocky. This is what Trump and his supporters are up against this year. Yeah, a vote recount shows Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger failed to report the results of the election, originally lied about the mistakes, and then collaborated with the AG's office to cover it up. Corruption all over the place. And remember that they had a water main break at like 3 in the morning. Remember how difficult that was? Yeah. This one from Tony. Hey, more membos in the house. What's up, Tony? Bringing in Andy H, Jesus G, GE, SB, Alias is here. The NY Renal MD's in the house. Audio Wizard is here. Joan Kelly. We got the real Kittlers here, along with Jane KH, all in the house, courtesy of Tony Hay Munkets. Tony Hay, thanks for bringing in our 10 newest membos in the house. What's up, Curtis Bartle? Says 2024 kids, good luck and vote harder. Man, I'm going to vote so hard, and I'm going to drag everybody that I know to the polls. I'm going to be so obnoxious this year, I can't even tell you. In 2022, I was like, well, it's going to be a red wave, and so like, okay. Like, I was like, I made a couple of videos, like, get out to the polls, whatever. I'm going to be so obnoxious. I'm going to be dragging people to the polls. I'm so irritated. All right. Sean, what's up, Sean Q, says, same judge let Prince Andrew walk in when accused of multiple R's in Epstein-related case. Pre-trial then. This sounds fishy. From Sean Q in the house. From Sean Q. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot more to the story. But I don't know the details. And thanks for the dono, Sean. Chris is here, sending in a Nathan's hot dog onto our show. Thanks for doing that, Chris. Nathan's hot dog. Although that one doesn't look nearly as big. That other one was like 18 inches. Remember that? 18 inches. Maybe that's why Fannie paid him $1 million. David D says Hunter's nose hair. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Have you seen that one? Snorters don't have nose hair. Sulfuric acid is used in the processing. It makes POC marks on steel too. You know, cocaine does. Thanks, David. Yeah, Hunter had that one image, man. He's got that nose hair like this. It's like dangling out of there. It's like somebody pulled that thing. What's up, David? Thank you. Hey, Glocky says, your country is being invaded, and this is your Congress. Congress weighs in on the Taylor Swift deep fake nudes. Sounds about right. Number one issue in America. Got it. Sergi says, just joined in the middle of the E. Jean Bergdorf readout, and this is effing ridiculous. Can the defense appeal this partisan courtroom shenanigans? Yeah, they've already done it on the first one. They'll be appealing this. Now, the problem with this appeal is like the last one was, if I recall, 5 million. So Trump had to post that in as bond. Like he had to, that's in escrow while it's pending appeal. So like if you, like, let's say, for example, you lose a speeding ticket, like a civil speeding ticket. You lose, you want to appeal it? Great. Pay the $300. The court will hold it in escrow. Then you can appeal it. They hold it in bond pending the outcome of the appeal. If you lose the appeal, they just take the money. If you win the appeal, they refund you your money. So it's going to be the same thing here, I believe. I think this judge is going to say Trump needs to fork over $80 million plus, like, you know, maybe a, yeah, he's going to have to, I think he's going to have to post that, or they're going to tell him to post that before he appeals it, is my understanding of how, I don't know how it works exactly in New York, but I think it does that like that. So we'll see. In other words, he might have to fork out $80 million, which is a lot of money that, you know, who knows if that's liquid or whatever, or what he can do with that. But it's a big deal, man. It's a lot. Now, I don't know if the judge will make him post all that or what it'll be, but I think he posted the 5 million. I feel like he did. I could be wrong. Glocky says, Nikki got absolutely bodied in the comments. You should read some of them. Oh, that's great. Man, I love watching Nikki Haley get obliterated. Let's see what some of these comments said. She's just the worst. The worst. And it's like worse by the day. And her friend is, you know, and I have another question about this for George Conway. George Conway is very excited about this, okay? He's like doing cartwheels on X, which, you know, sounds dangerous for someone like him. But he posted, my question is whether George Conway got a referral fee. This is something lawyers do, especially in civil cases. So if you call an accident lawyer, you say, hey, I was in an accident. They might refer you to somebody or refer you to somebody. They all take a cut. So let's say you settle with the insurance company. Your lawyer gets 33% of the settlement, right? You're in a car accident. You lose your leg. You settle for $100,000 or $1 million, whatever. Your attorney takes a third, theoretically. You get 66% of that. The thing is that attorney who got that 33%, if they got the case referred to them by somebody else, then that referring attorney might take a split, might take a cut of that 1/3. So that 1/3 might get split up between multiple other attorneys. And so we see here that George Conway won, the guy whose wife divorced him because she couldn't stand him anymore. Look at this guy. Oh my gosh. He posted this as his background. Okay. That's how demented he is. So he actually posted this, that he sent the email, right? They're gloating about this. They're just as happy as can be. And he actually posted this. This is George Conway. Actually introduced them. So for all the lefties who are like, this isn't rigged. Here, George Conway, the guy who hates Trump. On July 16, 2019, he made the intro. Gene and Robbie Kaplan, I'm putting you together on this email so that you both can get in touch. Best regards to you both. Roberta Kaplan, E. Jean and Roberta, from George Conway. He said, I'm going to frame both of these things. And then he has the jury verdict for $65 million. So my question is, was this referral? I hope George answers this. Did he get a fee split? Did he take a cut of this? Did he get a 10% referral fee or a third referral fee or whatever? In other words, is he getting a piece of that $85 million bucks? Maybe that's why he's so excited about it. And what is his deal with Reid Hoffman? Is Reid Hoffman making any money off this? Anybody splitting fees? Because Conway's a lawyer, I believe. So what's going on, right? They're all getting rich off the Trump grift if they can help it. So that, my friends, was from George Conway. Now let's take a look at Nikki Haley getting roasted. Here's Alex. He says, Alex B says, Nikki Haley's donor, Reid Hoffman, funded this frivolous lawsuit against Trump. Reid Hoffman is also a mega Biden donor. The Uniparty is using lawfare to try to stop Trump, but they won't succeed. The redheaded libertarian says, we're talking about gross malfeasance and excessive fines by a weaponized justice system against a private citizen, Nikki. Gunther says this post is pathetic. Neocon warmonger says, what? Okay, yeah, absolutely getting obliterated. Liz Wheeler says, really? This is your response instead of decrying the obviously rigged and unjust legal system that's trying to ruin Trump because he's Trump? You take the left side and propagate their points? Despicable. Now, we're talking about weaponizing the judicial system, says Tim Young, against political opponents. But you're too busy rolling in your MIC, your military money, to even understand that. D-Day Cobra says you're a terrible person and everyone hates you. Nikki, loser. Raheem says you're a bad and obviously godless person and no one will ever forget it. We better be careful here. Nikki Haley might sue Trump for $80 million. Drew says, aren't you the one that allegedly had an affair with 2 dudes? Yeah, that's her. Yeah, you nailed it. That's her. Jason says, wasn't it one of your largest donors called Reid Hoffman who is actually funding the lawsuit? Yeah, so great responses there. Nikki Haley's the worst. And she's getting some nice comments there in the comment section. Thank you, Glocky, for that. Here, Rob says, sustaining one side and overruling the other. Everything the other side said is a dual standard of justice. Dual standard indeed. We got this one from Ray Ronk says, brother, we the people are done. If the Supreme Court rules against Texas, then the people of Texas are leaving. Well, man, we'll be there with you. I will pack my bags, grab a cowboy hat, grab some spurs, and I'll be saying howdy in no time. We got Rob says, they are attacking us by illegally attacking Trump. They want us to not stand up for ourselves. They want to break all of us. If you don't fall in line, this will happen to you. This will happen to you. No doubt about that. Deanne says, hey, thanks for bringing this to all of us. Thanks, Deanne. It's my pleasure. Sorry the show's late. Sorry it's a short show, but I'm glad we got to at least cover this together. I was just fuming as I was driving home. Stefan says, why not find the reddest judge in the reddest county in the country and sue Eugene for $830 million? Well, first of all, the Republicans are too stupid to organize anything like that and not as devious and demented as these people are, which is actually a good thing. We actually care about other issues rather than, remember that Eugene and George Conway and Molly Jong-Fast and all these people, they go to like Trump prosecution parties. Like they celebrate this. Like that's their life. They don't have much else other than this. This is what their purpose is. So the Republicans, if they want to start, winning, maybe they should start creating some schemes like this one. What's up, John Bush? Thank you, John. First super chat on a live stream, John. We're very glad that we were first together here. Thank you, John, for the very nice dono, saying number 1 in the house. Very good to see you. Yeah, so thanks for that, John. We've got this one from Captain Jack Sparrow says, sadly, I believe all this must happen to expose how deep the corruption goes. Trump is amazing in that he can stand in this for all of us and be a rock. I don't think there is anyone else who could survive. And I couldn't agree with that more. I've represented a lot of criminal defendants. I've been in courtrooms many times. I've seen a lot of criminal law, and it is a breaking process. Like it really shatters a person through and through. It's a horrific process that most people fortunately don't have any experience with. But if you get caught in it, or your kid gets caught in it, or your brother gets caught in it, it's very, very trying and taxing. And the fact that Trump can handle all of this and just keep going, there's something special about that. There's something very unique about that. And I agree. I think that there may not be another person who can stand in the breach and take all of this and expose it all for all of us to see. I really don't know that anybody else could handle it. I think they'd all buckle under pressure. I think they'd take the deal, whatever. And Trump has not. And they just keep escalating it one after another. $80 million? All right. Thank you, Captain. John Bush is here. Welcome, John. Welcome as a supporter. Great to have you. And True Oki's also here. Very nice to see you, too. Very nice to see you. Yeah, what's up, John? Yeah, my licenses are current. Yeah, in California and Arizona. Zulu, good to see you. We got GEs here. All right, so my friends, that's from True OK. Let's see what's going on. Thank you for all the amazing donos and the love tonight. Let's say hello to our friends on X, and then we're going to go over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com for our members only after party, and we'll wrap it up there. So on X, who is joining us in the house? We got 50 viewers here tonight. Oh my goodness. Look at this, my friends. 50. That's almost 60. Let's see who's here. James Pepper. JD Horn says the law is dead. Yeah, it feels like it's like somebody needs to get the paddles at least. Like, get the paddles. Clear, clear. It's pretty close. James says, take the assets, divide them up. Nobody should do business in New York anymore. We got Yvonne says, I'm hearing some lawyers talk badly about Alina Habba. Well, I don't know who those are. We got Matthew Reese says, was Trump's defense disallowed to mention in the first jury? Yeah, in relation to the R. Yeah, this was a good point. And we brought this up, I think, yesterday. But the judge told the jurors that Trump was found liable of grabbing him by the purse, but didn't mention that he was found not liable of the R. So the jurors didn't get to hear any of that. What's up, Matthew Reese says, I don't understand how those tweets didn't get entered as evidence. They've been discussed since day one. Sandy says, of course. Crash says, when the rule of law fails us, we turn to the rule of men. Hey, that's 2 million more than Biden's 81 million. Will vote reposted for all 10 of your followers. Thanks, Will. And shout out to your 10 followers. We all start somewhere, man. I had 10 followers at one point too. Mike says, LOL, no, it's not. He's paying. I don't know what that one is. Bernie says, I can't even listen to any more of this clown show. I know, man. It's a tough show to listen to. I know, but we have to memorialize it for posterity. Yeah, this is what Tiffany says. Wow, it's that easy. All I have to do is just become lame and woke, and then I can get a bunch of money. Oh, yeah, this is funny. Michael says, here's a look at the jury that left the New York courthouse. This is a, it's a joke. Don't arrest me, DOJ. But they say it's the Biden jury that just walked out. Funny. Very good to see you, Michael. Thanks for that. Definitely like that one. And all right, we got some other losers on X. There are a lot of losers over there too. A lot of amazing people, but we do have some losers. But okay, so that, my friends, is it for us on the day. We're going to leave it there. We're going to head over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com for our members only after party. And we would love to see you there. We're also going to do a Saturday stream tomorrow. It's going to be a little early because I have a day 2 of the event and I'll be back. What's up? Francis sent this one in. Says, do you know where I could find the plea deals for Sidney Powell and Jenna Ellis? I couldn't find the agreements on the Fulton County website. Do I have those? Those might be on our Scribed. Let me see. Do I have those? Yes. Check out our Scribed. So go to our website, Francis. I think the PDFs are probably on our website and probably also on Scribed. So we archive all the things that we talk about. And I definitely have Jenna Ellis. Let me see if I got Sidney Powell. So check out, yeah, I've got all the Sidney Powell stuff too. They should be up there. So check our website, check our Scribed, robertgovea.com. The link is in the description below. Melanie, thank you for that. Melanie says, thank you. Love listening to you daily. Well, thanks, Melanie. Thanks for being here. And thanks for the very nice dono. And I'm grateful for that. Scott Gimbel says, what did they plea to? So here, I'll just show you. I'll just show you the documents since I've got them right here. So what do you want to see? Sidney Powell? Sidney Powell pled to first offender terms. They were both diversion deals. So for example, this is Sidney Powell's. And you can see we already marked it up. Sidney Powell's deal, it's a diversion deal. Okay, see how all this says first offender? The defendant is sentenced under first offender. This is her deal. Sidney Powell. This is what all the losers kept crying about when I said that all of these charges are going to be dismissed. Guess what? They are going to be dismissed. First offender. Here's the conditions. First offender release. Look, this is what they don't want to admit. But upon fulfillment of the terms of this sentence and upon release of Sidney by the defendant, look at this, the defendant shall stand discharged. Let's make sure this is read. The defendant shall stand discharged of the said offense without court adjudication and shall be completely exonerated of guilt of the said offense charged. It's a diversion deal. It's like driving school. You take the class, you don't have to get the points on your license. It all gets dismissed. It's the same thing. This is how you know this is also a scam prosecution as well. So that's Sidney Powell's. Jenna Ellis's was the same thing. Kenneth Chesebro's was the same thing. And those docs should be up on robertgovea.com. And thank you, Melanie. We'll put that one up on the screen. Thank you, Melanie. I appreciate that. And yeah, K-Bean, thanks for the link. robertgovea.com. Click the reports. And what's up? We got Mark Nelson says, hey, what's up? Catherine Harvey says this judge is not good, calling it a PR stunt and other things. And so, my friends, that is where we are going to leave it on the day. We are going to go over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com for our members only after party. And we're going to do a members only stream in the morning tomorrow as well to talk about all the other things. And so come and join us, my friends. It's a beautiful Friday. We'd like to hang out with you for a little bit longer. So come and check us out. We also have our website, robertgovea.com. And let's see here. So under reports, all of our reports are right here. And let's see what the best way is to link to our scribed, because we don't have just a good link to our scribed. But yeah, this is our scribed. So if you go to Robert Govea, like click that. You can see all of our documents are here. We upload all of our PDFs onto our scribed, and you should be able to access them there if you're looking for whatever we're into. So they're all there. We're trying to archive this stuff and make it accessible so that we can hold these people accountable. So we also got our mods and our meme smiths. We want to say thank you to. Big thanks. And thanks, guys, for showing up, on a late show and helping out. We have the best mods on the whole internet. Vienticus Prime, John McGarvey. We got, who else is clipping? I think I saw Zach Nichols in there. We got the whole crew, man. We got Vienticus Primes in the house. K-Bean clipping away. Just Cause. We got Playin' Hooky. Ronnie Cole, our friend Zulu, Beyond Geo, Zach Nichols, our friend John Allen, Janik909, Dog Digger, and Donut Mind Me. Modding down the fort for us, keeping things nice and orderly, and very grateful for you guys. Thanks for helping out, and gals, for helping out and jumping in on the day. But my friends, that is it for us on this really beautiful but ridiculous Friday. We are going to leave it there. We're going to come back next week on Monday to get into it all again. And I hope to see you there. But until then, I do hope you have an amazing weekend, that some of this madness we can set aside, not forget about it, but set it aside a little bit to rejuvenate our batteries, reconnect with some calm, clear thinking, get some exercise, get some vitamin D, spend some time with your families, spend some time with our friends and the people that we love, because we are just getting started on this journey. Okay, all these maniacs have been plotting on this for a long time. They have a lot of the institutions of power under their control, but the tides are turning. And how do we know that? Because they're panicked, because this is what they do in order to win. They cannot win in the arena of ideas, so they turn into cheaters and bullies and dishonest cretins. And people like that fail. They're on the wrong side of history. They're on the wrong side of humanity. They're on the wrong side of justice. And that is all going to become very evident very soon. So we need to stay fortified. We need to stay rejuvenated. We need to stay charged and ready to go, because we're going to be back here on Monday to get into it all again. And we need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night and a beautiful weekend, my friends. I'll see you right back here on Monday. Bye-bye.